been made to Abraham. It came on through Isaac. It went to Jacob. And then it went to Judah. That through his tribe, there was going to come a deliverer. There was going to come a king that would be established on the throne of David forever. Okay, if you had this promise from God, that from your tribe a king was going to be established, does that mean from Ahaz's perspective that the tribe of Judah was going to have a future? Absolutely, right? Okay, so he had this promise from God. Now God's giving him a sign. You want a sign that these people are not going to wipe you out? There's still a promise. I still have a promise of a deliverer coming to you. A virgin will give birth to a son. It's not that much different than God dealing with Abraham or even God dealing with us. If you will, turn over to Hebrews chapter 6. Hebrews chapter 6. Sometimes we ask for a sign, don't we? Does anybody else ever ask for a sign? Just let me know. Some way, let me know that this is the right decision to make. Let me know that this is what you want me to do, right? We do that. Is that wrong? I mean, here God is telling Ahaz, ask me for a sign. Ahaz isn't willing to do it. God says, are you going to try my patience? So there may be times we need to be asking for a sign. God is giving us signs. Let's in this particular passage in Hebrews chapter 6, and it's in, the whole scope of Hebrews and where this falls in between in the teaching in this written letter. He says, let's begin in verse 9, kind of get the context here. Even though we speak like this, dear friends, we are convinced of better things in your case, the things that have to do with salvation. God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown Him as you have helped His people and continue to help them. Verse 11, we want each of you to show this same diligence to the very end, so that what you hope for may be fully realized. We do not want you to become lazy, but to imitate those who through faith and patience inherit what has been promised. Now, he wants them to copy those through hope have received what has been promised. Starting in verse 13. When God made His promise to Abraham, since there was no one greater for him to swear by, He swore by Himself, saying, I will surely bless you and give you many descendants. And so after waiting patiently, Abraham received what was promised. What? Let's read that again. I will surely bless you and give you many descendants. And so after waiting patiently, Abraham received what was promised. While he was alive? Many descendants while he was alive? Not really. While he was alive. Here, no. But Abraham, even as Jesus says, God is not the God of the dead, but of the living, and He is still the God of Abraham, is He not? Abraham waited patiently, even if it took all of his life waiting patiently. But God delivered upon His promise. And because there was nothing greater to swear by. Still take oaths in a court of law, Rick? Okay. Still done on the Bible? No. What's it done on? Nothing? You just raise your hand? So just on yourself? Or under penalty of the law? I guess oath under penalty of the law. So the law is greater than the person, right? Maybe. Okay, we're kind of losing this within our society. That if you take an oath of something greater than yourself, right? Is the idea. Now, they understood this concept. It seems like we're starting to lose that just a little bit. But what what we're seeing here is a precedent. God says, because there is nobody greater than me to swear by, I swear by myself. Not only do I say it, but I promise you. Let's read that again. When God made His promise to Abraham, since there was no one greater for him to swear by, He swore by Himself, saying, I will surely bless you and give you many descendants. And so after waiting patiently, Abraham received what was promised. Now listen what he says after this. People swear by someone greater than themselves, and the oath confirms what is said and puts an end to all argument. Because God wanted to make the unchanging nature of His purpose very clear to the heirs of what was promised, He confirmed it with an oath. God did this so that by two unchangeable things in which it is impossible for God to lie, we who have fled to take hold of the hope set before us may be greatly encouraged. We have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. It enters the inner sanctuary behind the curtain, where our forerunner Jesus has entered on our behalf. He has become a high priest in the order of Melchizedek. Now this says that God has by two unchangeable things. One is that He made a promise. The second is He can't lie. So if God can't lie and then He makes a promise, it's absolutely sure. If it's sure with an oath between two people, that if there's an argument over something and you take an oath that settles it, it's done. I mean, that's the idea. That's what people are held to. Now and we've been studying this on Wednesday night, and I'll just kind of throw this in here. With Abraham, when God made the covenant, He took, in chapter 15, He took pieces of the animals and He had Abraham cut them in half and lay them aside, just like you would have an aisle, and God Himself, in the form of a fire pot, passed between the pieces. I mean, the custom, whether it was then or whether it was something that became later, as we see in Jeremiah, was the fact that if you passed between the pieces and you did not keep that oath, it was as much as saying, let this be done to me, and even more so if I do not keep this promise. And God made that covenant with Abraham. And so He's saying it when He established the covenant, He was making it with us as well. Because God did this so that by two, verse 18, unchangeable things in which is it impossible for God to lie, we who have fled to take hold of the hope set before us may be greatly encouraged. Have we seen all the signs of God? Not by any means. But we know because God has promised. Is anybody looking for a spiritual body? Is anybody longing to be clothed with that is spiritual, that is eternal, as opposed to this physical body? Thanks, Bill. We are, aren't we? Yes. We're longing for something greater than this. This body's great. It really is. It's amazing what this body can do. But it begins to break down. It begins to wear out. It gets sick. And we know that it's going to die and it's going to decay. God has promised us something greater. Passages like 1 Corinthians chapter 15 describe, in pretty good detail, that He's going to give us a spiritual body that is necessary for